History remembers the generals. It remembers the grand strategies, the bloody battlefields, and the political speeches that changed nations. But there are dark corners of history that the textbooks are too afraid to touch. Imagine it is 1862. The American Civil War is raging. Deep in the freezing woods of Virginia, a Confederate camp is asleep. Sentries are standing guard, muskets loaded, eyes scanning the tree line. Everything is quiet. Suddenly, a shadow moves. No sound, no rustling of leaves, just a presence. Within seconds, a high-ranking officer vanishes from his tent. No gunfire, no struggle, just an empty bed and a cold breeze. The next night it happens again, and the night after that. Panic spreads through the ranks like wildfire. The soldiers don't call it a man. They call it a phantom, a ghost that bullets cannot touch, a monster that bleeds into the dark. But the terrifying truth? He wasn't a ghost. During the day, he stood right in front of them. He was a quiet, harmless camp cook, chopping vegetables and serving soup to the very men he was hunting at night. This is the true, untold story of history's most lethal double-faced phantom. To understand this mystery, we have to look at the daytime. In the camp of the Union Army, or sometimes deep within enemy territory, there was a man known simply as Jack. He was not a towering figure of war. He didn't wear a chest full of medals. He wore a stained apron. To the soldiers, Jack was the invisible man of the camp. He was the one who woke up at dawn to light the fires, boil the coffee, and cut the meat. He was quiet. He barely spoke. If you looked at his eyes, you saw nothing but a tired, simple man doing his job. Soldiers laughed around him, complained about the war to him, and shared their deepest secrets while he handed them their plates. They thought he wasn't listening. They were wrong, because the moment the sun dipped below the horizon and the campfire died down into gray ashes, the cook disappeared. The apron came off. The simple, submissive eyes turned into the cold, calculated eyes of a predator. Jack possessed an eerie, almost supernatural ability. In an era where military boots were heavy and loud, Jack could walk through dry autumn leaves in absolute silence. He knew the woods better than the animals that lived in them. He didn't carry a heavy rifle that would give away his position with a loud flash of gunpowder. He carried a knife, a rope, and a pitch-black pistol. The stories began to pile up in the winter of 1862. It started with missing supplies. Valuable maps would vanish from locked desks. Horses would be untied and stolen without a single bark from the guard dogs. But soon the phantom grew bolder. One night, a Confederate patrol of 3 men went into the woods to scout. They never returned. The next morning, they were found miles away, tied to trees, stripped of their weapons, with a single message carved into the dirt beneath them. The phantom is watching. Fear is a dangerous weapon in war. It destroys morale faster than cannon fire. Officers started refusing to sleep alone in their tents. Sentries demanded to be placed in pairs of 2, back to back. They swore under oath that they had shot at the shadow. They heard the bullet hit the trees, they saw the shadow flinch, but when they rushed to the spot, there was no blood, only emptiness. How did he survive? How did he bypass the tightest military security of the 19th century? The answer is brilliant and terrifying. Jack didn't break into the camps. He was already inside. He knew exactly which guards were tired, which posts were weak, and exactly what time the shifts changed. Because he was the one who fed them. By 1863, the hunt for the Civil War ghost became an obsession for military intelligence. A trap was set. A high-ranking colonel volunteered to act as bait. He stayed in an isolated cabin near the edge of the camp, surrounded by hidden sharpshooters who kept their eyes locked on the door and windows for 48 hours. The night was pitch black. Rain was pouring down, blurring the vision of the snipers. Midnight came. Nothing. 2 a.m. Nothing. At 4 a.m., a sudden scream echoed from inside the cabin. The sharpshooters kicked the door open, torches raised. The room was a mess. The window was shattered. The colonel was on the floor, bleeding from his head, alive but unconscious. But the phantom had left something behind this time. In the struggle, A piece of cloth had been torn from the attacker's jacket. It wasn't a military uniform cloth. It was cheap, coarse fabric used only for camp workers, specifically cooks. The next morning, an emergency inspection was called. Every single man, soldier, and worker was lined up in the freezing rain. The officers walked down the line, checking every coat, every shirt, every apron. They reached the back of the line, where Jack's cooking station stood. The fire was cold. The knives were neatly laid out, but Jack was gone. He had vanished into the morning mist, leaving behind nothing but his old, stained apron thrown into the dirt. Who was Jack? Was that even his real name? After the war ended, secret military files were opened, but no records of his enlistment were ever found. He was a man without a past, who created a terrifying present and dissolved into the future. Some historians believe he was a highly trained elite scout operating under the deepest cover. Others believe he was simply a man consumed by the chaos of war, fighting his own private battle under the cover of darkness. But if you ever walk through those old, silent woods of Virginia late at night, when the wind blows cold through the trees and the shadows seem to move on their own, remember the cook. Remember the shadow that bullets couldn't touch, because some ghosts never truly leave the battlefield. Please subscribe now for more suspenseful, unique history stories.